It's Morning Edition on 89.3 WFPL. I'm Bill Burton, and it's time for us to take a look at the science behind the forecast as I am joined by Wave 3 meteorologist Tawana Andrew. Good morning, Tawana.
Good morning. Today we're talking about an old wives' tale that actually has some truth to it.
Every once in a while, something like that happens. There's actually a little truth behind it. So, what's the truth and what's the tale?
So the tale is that there's plenty of stories about trees' leaves flipping over as a sign of rain. And
Yeah.
that's actually true because
Oh.
specific trees do this. So deciduous trees like maples, oaks, poplars are sensitive to humidity. So their leaves of these trees, they tend to have soft stems, and sometimes these become a little bit more limp and more pliable and soft when there's an abrupt increase in humidity ahead of rain. And this makes them a little bit more sensitive to the wind as well, since they're a little bit more pliable and floppy. The
Hmm.
wind is able to flip them over and turn them more upwards, so they kind of look like cups even if you like glance at them before a thunderstorm comes through.
Hmm.
And then, of course, you have the gusty winds that are typical before showers and thunderstorms. Those can also help to flip these leaves over and let them show their more silvery underside. Now, keep in mind, this tale is not a long range forecast. You're not going to look at the leaves and be able to tell that rain is coming like a week down the road. This is this is typically more like a couple of hours
A
that you
short
could
range
tell.
forecast, not a long
Yeah,
one.
yeah. So if you're out of the park and you see that kind of thing happen, you know to run and get to your car as soon as possible. Um,
Run.
Run, and as you're running, keep an eye on the pine cones because pine cones are actually excellent forecasters
Really?
as well. Yeah, so they open up during dry conditions as the outer part of the pine cone scales dry up. It kind of gets stiff and everything separates a little bit more. But when it's more humid and damp, the pine cone actually becomes more flexible and closes and returns to its more stereotypical shape.
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted to throw in like a really cool fact that your nose is actually an excellent forecaster as
Really? It
well.
is.
Yeah, because you can smell the rain coming. Like you're not losing your mind when you're like, oh, I can smell the rain. It is true.
I thought I've
Um,
been able to do it for a while. Yeah.
and you are magical, but it's it's for a different reason. So when you have water hitting various surfaces, it's displacing odor molecules like plant compounds and bacteria, and it pushes them into the air. Think of bubbles in champagne with all of that rising to the top, and you can smell the
Hmm.
champagne a little bit better. It's
Yeah.
the same. It's the same situation. So the smell of rain is, by the way, my favorite word. It's called petrichor.
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 I'm writing
Yes.
that down.
Yeah. Petrichor. Petrichor. Remember it for your spelling test, kids. Um, so this smell is actually most noticeable after warm, dry spells. So this allows all of these compounds that I mentioned to accumulate, and then more is actually released after that first round of rain. So in the summer, after we've been dry for a while, that is why you can smell that rain even more than you typically can.
Wow. So we got a new word. We learned that there's some truth behind an old wives' tale, and we've learned all of this thanks to Science Behind the Forecast with Wave 3 meteorologist Tawana Andrew. Thanks for the knowledge, Tawana.
Of course.